Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Inside the Naval Postgraduate School. On the quad on our campus in Monterey, California, I'm your host Alan Richmond right here on the Pentagon Channel. Welcome to the show. Well, in this episode we'll visit Camp Roberts in JIFX 2, part of our field experimentation exercise. Natalie Stamey has a visit at the NPS Science Fair involving NPS faculty and students. But we start the show with an interview with the very distinguished Mr. Scott Lutterloh. Well, Mr. Lutterloh, first of all, thank you for taking time to join us. And as I mentioned, your title is quite a lengthy one. It's a mouthful.
I came into the job from a position within N1, working in training and education specifically. I've got a little bit of background in manpower requirements in addition to that, both at the joint and the Navy level. I took the job working for the Chief of Naval Personnel and the N1 primary about a year ago, in January last year, when Ms. Stephanie Easter, who had had the job for 3 years, went to work over in the Joint Program Office for the F-35 program. There's an opportunity there to influence where the Navy goes. With the Budget Control Act of 2011, we've significantly reduced the DoD budget. All of the services are feeling some of that pain. There's a set of decisions that we have to make in regard to manpower, in regard to manning and personnel, in regard to training, and in regard to education that are going to set the course for the Navy for the next 25 or 30 years. So I'm excited to be there, to be involved in some of that work, and to be able to chart the course and perhaps provide some of the lessons I've learned over the course of my career in helping the Navy in that regard.
Well, I imagine with all your responsibilities in your role, the glass has to always be half full and you have to be pretty optimistic.
Absolutely. I think I'm terribly excited, wonderfully excited about the future for the Navy. You know, the military in general, as Secretary Hagel talked about yesterday, is downsizing in the current president's budget. All of the services are feeling that pain to one degree or another. However, the Navy, while reducing, is reducing only minimally. Our force structure from FY14 to FY15 is staying relatively stable. Small drop projected out in FY16, nothing that we can't manage. Today, our force is fully manned, balanced across the board. Advancements are at the norm or higher, and we've got a very high quality, fully manned fleet out there. We are poised for whatever scenario we face in the future years relative to our manpower and how we sustain that fleet manning.
Well, of course, here at the Naval Postgraduate School, we're quite well known for our expertise in research. From your perspective, how important is research to the Navy?
Well, research is dominant across the board. It relates not only to our weapon systems that we're building and the training that's associated with training those operators, maintainers, and tactical employers of those weapon systems, but it's also key in the education of our naval officers and our enlisted force as we move ahead. So at Postgraduate School, one of the crown jewels of our education fleet, research plays a critical role. It's a world-class institution. In order to be a world-class institution, we need world-class curricula and we need world-class faculty. What's key to both, keeping the curricula robust and vibrant, is research, and attracting and retaining a world-class faculty at this level in the postgraduate arena is research. Critical research on the evolving technology and its application in a real environment. That's what we've got here in terms of research, coupled with the faculty expertise and a world-class body of officer students coming directly from the fleet.
Many times we hear about our world-class faculty, but we also hear about our world-class students. I'm wondering what's your overview on the students here at NPS?
The students are excellent. These are all demonstrated performers in their given designators. They've been in the heat of battle most recently. They're returning. It's a breather for them. They're bringing their problems directly from the fleet to the expertise of the educational arena, solving them, and then directly returning to the fleet with those applications ready to apply again in that fleet environment.
Why do you think NPS remains so relevant to the military and the Navy especially?
Well, it's primarily the people. So you come down to a faculty that's world class. We've had budget pressure over the past year, we've had furloughs, we've had a government shutdown, but throughout it all, the faculty has remained steadfast in focusing on the students. Those officers coming from the fleet, it doesn't matter whether they're sailors or Marines, whether they're from the Army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, Coast Guard, or our international maritime partners, that faculty is focused on those students. Those students are super achievers in their own right, demonstrated performers coming back in, wanting to learn, thirsting for the knowledge, ready to be the leaders of the next century within the maritime domain.
Well, I know from speaking with you before that you're quite a proponent of advanced education.
Right, and I think the reason for optimism here is the understanding of leadership of the importance of education as an asymmetric advantage in developing our people. What I've seen in the Naval leadership from the CNO through the Vice Chief, who chairs our Advanced Education Review Board, is a commitment to education. How do we deliver it? Where do we deliver it? When do we deliver it? How do we leverage it in our daily employment, in our jobs, both ashore, in the business end, and in the fleet, in the operational end? So the CNO recently signed out the education strategy, which has as its core the development of joint warfighters, the development of technical leaders, and the development of critical thinkers and strategists. Postgraduate school plays a key role, primarily in the development of those technical leaders across the board associated with our subspecialty codes, but also in the development of those critical thinkers and strategists for the future.
Well, sir, thank you very much for all your service to our country and to the military, and especially thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to be with us here on Inside NPS on the Pentagon Channel. It's been a pleasure.
Believe me, the pleasure's been all mine. It's an invigorating couple days that I've spent here, the opportunity to meet with the faculty, talk about the issues that are out there, lay out some of the things that keep me awake, understand what they're thinking, what they see in the technology that's moving ahead, and how the two come together to a confluence of solutions that are going to benefit our Navy and our nation. Thank you very much.
Again, special thanks to Mr. Lutterloh for taking time to be with us here on the Pentagon Channel. Well, stay with us. Up next, JIFX Part 2, right after the break here on the Pentagon Channel. Welcome back to the show. Recently, we had the opportunity to visit Camp Roberts, California as part of our field experimentation exercise. Here's Assistant Professor Gerald Scott to tell us more. Scotty, you're the operations manager for JIFX overall. Tell us what that responsibility includes.
Well, we have over 40 organizations that come out, upwards of 300 to 400 people most events, and so I need to coordinate that. We've got a team that works in the Information Sciences Department that manages the registrations, the acceptance of experiments, staffing those with the COCOMs and OSD for selecting the experiments and then getting them all on the schedule, getting them located out here, making sure everything's running safe and secure every day.
That's a lot of moving parts.
It is.
How's it going so far with this JIFX as opposed to, say, the last one?
So each JIFX kind of has its own personality, if you will. This one didn't have as many flying things, UAVs and airplanes and whatnot, but we had a lot going on in the social media sphere. So we had a lot of indoor things going on and a lot of intense activity around those.
And it all seems to rotate around collaboration amongst all the people that are here. And one of the things that you and Ray both say is that we don't want to leave it here and go away, work on it. We want to work on it here. Define that a little closer.
Well, so in this collaborative learning environment that we talk about, we kind of have an ethos or a culture that's developed around it. One of those aspects is no punting. We don't like to defer development until we get back to home stations. We want to do whatever we can do out here during the week, we want to get it done. So you can take home a product rather than have to take something back for further development.
Let's talk a little bit about specifically social media that you mentioned earlier on. What were they doing in terms of the social media collaboration?
Well, one of the challenges that's been recurring from offices of emergency management, from FEMA, from DHS, from local emergency and first responder groups is the need to have better situational awareness during or post any type of disaster event. And they all kind of have this intuition that social media can help provide some of that situational awareness. So what we did this time was we brought together a group of first responders, emergency management personnel, and software developers to take a look at what is going on in social media during a disaster and what information emergency managers might get out of that.
Scotty, why is JIFX so important?
I think it has to do with a term people use called technology foraging. There is so much technology development going on in so many different areas that there's no central repository for that information. 50 years ago, when the United States government was kind of the lead in many of these R&D efforts, we kind of controlled it all. Now it's going on all over the place, and an event like JIFX helps us to understand some of these developments and how we might apply that technology in support of the warfighter, in support of national security, in support of local and state emergency responders.
Without fail, every individual that I've talked to at JIFX, not just this JIFX, but every single one I go to, a lot of the first-time people that come say, this is the best thing since apple pie. It really gives us a chance to get out in the field, test this, and find out what other people are doing. So, I mean, it is really a critical element, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's unique in that we have a safe, secure, and legal sandbox where you can let technology developers and end users interact in what we call a non-acquisition environment. So we don't have all of the restrictions on information sharing that we have when we leave this place.
Let's talk about some experiments that you have going on for the Naval Postgraduate School. Tell us about those.
Sure. I'm a technology researcher. One of the things I'm very interested in is collaboration, as this event is an example of that. But one of the challenges we face is the need to protect certain parts of information even while we're collaborating. So things like PII, personally identifiable information. If Department of Homeland Security needs to coordinate with somebody else, there's some information they just can't share. And so my research has to do with multi-level security and how we can build collaborative tools that let people exchange information dynamically, but restrict exactly who can see exactly what information.
And how's that all going, your research?
It's difficult. It's a challenging problem. Lots of different groups are working on it. We're working in conjunction with the Joint Staff and with SPAWAR down in San Diego to develop some specific software. We're trying to do it open source so people can use it. We've got the beta software out that we tested in this event, and we'll do that on a turn every 3 months. We hope to have something that's available for users in 6 months to a year.
Also included as part of the exercises at JIFX were state agencies, including the Sacramento Office of Emergency Services. Here's Roger Ince. We're here at JIFX 14-2 at Camp Roberts, California, and we're talking with Roger Ince. Roger is with the Sacramento Department of Emergency Services for the state of California.
Correct.
Good. Good to see you again, Roger.
Pleasure to be here.
You know, we were talking about California and the role that you play in Sacramento. Give us a profile of what your job responsibilities are and what brings you here to JIFX as a result.
The Office of Emergency Services handles is a coordinating agency between for all of the disasters in the state of California. But specifically what we come down to JIFX to look for is the technology, advanced technology that we have, and how can we apply it in the humanitarian world in all various disasters we have. This year we're facing the worst drought we've ever seen. So looking at technology, remote sensing, looking at how and what we can use that have been tested here to be able to put applications in the field and give us information and benefit for it for the drought and how we can manage it better.
And it's interesting too when you talk about Mother Nature. I mean, we have this horrible drought going on in California. At the same time, we're dealing with technology on that and solutions. But at the same time here at JIFX, we're looking at the horrible weather that's going on the East Coast and the havoc that that's causing.
Absolutely. That's one of the interesting parts of all the technology we have, that we can switch it back and forth. Social media information, I know they've been working on it here this week, is a huge part, whether it's the drought, whether it's in Atlanta or in DC, being able to get information to the people. That is the main demand that people have now, is getting information to them and from our agencies and emergency management and government in general. So that's a key piece of our puzzle. It's a big messaging part we need to do with the drought here in California to get the message of how severe and what actions people can take.
So from your perspective, from a statewide of California perspective, you come looking for who's doing what that could help us if A, B, or C happens.
Absolutely. And this is my 5th JIFX. I've not walked away yet without taking more information back than we came with, looking for information, solutions, and ideas, but mainly being able to know who our partners are and how to partner with them and come back with answers and solutions to us.
So for California, of course, we and other people in the country always think of earthquakes, but you're centered up where there are lots of waterways in Sacramento, and that's potentially one of our real disasters up there, much as has happened back in the south and around the Delta region.
Absolutely, we lose water in the Sacramento region. We're affecting the San Joaquin Valley, which is the breadbasket of the world. California is the fifth largest economic base in the world, and it's all based on agriculture. So we look at agriculture, we lose water to the fields, no crops. The domino effect of that could be in the billions of how it affects everybody, from your prices of beef, milk, bread. Everything is going to be affected by a drought.
Well, we hope that you find the answers you're looking for here, and thanks for taking part in JIFX.
Our pleasure, and we're looking forward to partnering with you more.
Well, more and more, we hear about the use of man's best friend. Here's a good example to help support the Department of Defense. Mark, tell us a little bit about why you're here at JIFX and what you're doing as part of the operation exercise.
Our experiment here at JIFX is an integrated canine system, and it is a concept of a back-mounted camera, which is being used as a platform for other plugins of an additional chest-mounted camera, as well as a tone-based off-leash guidance system, with also a potential of later on a voice-based off-leash guidance system, therefore allowing the dog and the handler to have increased distance between the two of them, and allowing the dog to work at distance away from an operational team, therefore giving that team the standoff that they need to stay safe, and more or less letting the dog go farther into harm's way before we put the two-legged guys in harm's way if necessary.
Talk a little bit about Jack Frost, right?
Jack Frost. Jack Frost is actually in the process of getting ready to certify as an explosive detector dog, and as soon as he's certified, he's going to go to work for Rialto Police Department here in California. Jack's owner, Officer Glenn Anderson, was kind enough to let me borrow him. For this evolution, it was easier for me to get a dog in California than to fly one in from the East Coast. So far, Jack's been a pretty good boy. He's got a very good sniffing behavior, very good independent sniffing behavior. He doesn't have to be told to do his job. He's kind of always actively kind of looking because he wants his tennis ball. Now, he's also been trained to be calm, not be rambunctious, not be hyperactive. When you're looking for things that go boom, you don't want a lot of movement. You don't want to be jostling things around and knocking things over. Narcotics is a different story, but for the application that Jack's being trained for, this handler wants him to be a lot more easygoing and calm, and that's why you see him pretty much just kind of standing here waiting for something to do. And once he's told to go, well, he goes to work, and it's just slow and methodical.
What will you have Jack doing today as part of the exercise?
I'm hoping that we can get with the end users and more or less give them the ability to tell me what they want me to do, and we'll get the dog working from there. I will let them know what the capabilities and limitations are of the equipment as well as the dog, and that way it helps them better understand how we can be incorporated into their operations, and get them a better idea or a better understanding that the supporting role that a dog team plays will benefit them.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about the goings-on at NPS, here's how. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Inside NPS. And remember, no matter where your service takes you, the latest breaking news from the Naval Postgraduate School campus in Monterey is always at your fingertips through our official Twitter site. Stay informed and follow us at NPS_Monterey. Well, recently there was a science fair held in our community in Monterey County, and of course NPS was on the scene, and so were students and faculty members. Here's Natalie Stamey to tell you more.
Rooted in research and focused on national security, the Naval Postgraduate School challenges its military students to ask thought-provoking questions and seek relevant answers. Even off campus, that charge is evident as Naval Postgraduate School students and faculty participate in the Monterey County Science Fair, a forum where the military students become the mentors to a future crop of scientists and answer seekers.
Sure. Well, you know, it all starts with kids who wonder what if.
Assisted by dedicated teachers and supportive families, each year more than 350 students in grades 6 through 12 from throughout Monterey County converge on the Monterey County Science and Engineering Fair.
So they come up with a hypothesis, and they have to follow the scientific method. So there's a certain process that they have to follow.
Sponsored by the Monterey County Office of Education in conjunction with the Naval Postgraduate School and California State University, Monterey Bay, the Science and Engineering Fair encourages children to pursue in-depth study of their chosen project through scientific research.
I was testing and doing a research on different 3D filaments and fill patterns and how they behave under different stresses and forces.
Right now it's fine, but a lot of projects are pretty impressive actually. A lot of projects that may even make me a little bit nervous that I can look back on my thesis work and and improve some stuff. But overall, I see a lot of interest and interesting original projects too, and it's very interesting to see.
Students display their projects and present their findings to a team of judges, the majority of whom are military officers and faculty from the Naval Postgraduate School. The judges are here strictly on a volunteer basis, and they say part of their inspiration is passing along the passion for science and research to a new generation.
There's projects here that could have a really big impact, and as long as the kids see that, well, that's a motivation for them to continue to science. But I think if we continue on participating and getting involved into giving them feedback and assisting them in building more projects like that, it's better for the kids.
I tell them that it is very important to talk to the kids and give them feedback, give them some positive feedback, so to say, some encouragement, so on and so forth. But at the same time, to be also a little bit critical.
It taught me a lot about prioritizing and a lot about timing and making sure that you have enough time to do this. If there's a mistake or if there's something wrong, then you'd have to work around that or try to fix it.
What's great about that is that it lets them practice a lot of skills that are critical thinking skills that they'll use all of their lives.
For more than 20 years, the Science and Engineering Fair has been held with an all-volunteer judging force, a group that is coordinated by NPS Electrical Engineering professor Roberto Christie. The input of judges who themselves have extensive backgrounds in scientific research means science fair students are provided an exceptional opportunity to share their ideas with seasoned pros who want to help them expand their research.
They're a tremendous wealth to be able to draw from, and their expertise is outstanding. We couldn't do any better than that.
I think that's really inspiring and really great that they're all volunteering to help with us.
For the judges, it's a priceless opportunity to help guide these young researchers and perhaps even mentor the future leaders who may attend the Naval Postgraduate School.
It is a part of the service to the community. The students really, they really want to help the community.
So I see that NPS is very involved, and I've had a lot of opportunities to help out on community projects, and I think by far this one is my favorite one with all the different projects. It's very nice.
We'd like to thank the Monterey County Office of Education, all of the participating students, and the NPS faculty and students who volunteered their time today. For Inside NPS, here on the Pentagon Channel, I'm Natalie Stamey.
Thanks, Natalie. Well, as we end the show, we turn our attention to the NPS Spotlight. Ms. Alana Tweed is a Department of the Navy civilian studying Defense Business Management at NPS. Her thesis, entitled Naval Postgraduate School Government Purchase Card Program, an analysis of internal controls, was awarded recently. After graduation, she will continue working as a staff member at NPS. Associate Professor Alex Bordetsky was selected to receive a prestigious Fulbright Senior Scholar Award. He'll use his Fulbright Award to make inroads into an exciting area of study that relies on collaboration and networked labs to solve complex satellite-based information architecture and network challenges. Our sincerest congratulations to both. Well, that's it for this episode of Inside the Naval Postgraduate School. From Monterey, California, on the campus at NPS, I'm your host, Alan Richmond, right here on the Pentagon Channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.